1st, 2020. I'm standing in our dining room in front of our big picture window with my family. We have Post-its in one hand, Sharpies in another, and we are brimming with excitement to vision ahead to the year 2020. All the adventures we're gonna have, the goals we're gonna achieve together. My older daughter, Isabella, she writes on her Post-it, "I want to read 50 books." Awesome. My husband, Scott, writes, "I want to finish writing my novel." Oh, amazing. My younger daughter, Charlotte, she writes, get this, "I want less screen time in 2020. Oh, little cherub, kudos to you for trying, but it didn't happen. I scribble something on my note and put it up on the window. I want to change my beliefs about me. Boom. Something shifted at that moment. I was about to embark on a 13-month journey into the dark. I didn't know that we were all heading into the dark, just a few months ahead, into a global pandemic where our lives were going to come to a screeching halt. Our world was going to crack itself open, spew out our most ugly truths about who we had become, and we would have to sit and look at it, stew in it together. At that very same time, I was going to crack open my own heart and soul, look inside at my darkest truth, my darkest belief about me, that limiting belief, the one that says you're not enough, you're a failure. If I had known just how dark those 13 months were going to be, I would have ripped that Post-it off the window, marched into the kitchen, turned on the flame, and burnt it to ash. But of course, I'm very glad I didn't do that. You see, I had reached a tipping point in my life. That moment when the pain of living behind a limited belief is worse than the pain of finding out if it's true. I'm an entrepreneur. We are curious beings. We are compelled to run hard and fast toward the cliff, leap off, and just to see if we can land. When we're done with that cliff, we go and find a new cliff. Am I right? It's really fun. Until we splat. That sucks. I have a dear friend, Darcy Cameron. There she is. She said to me, if you want to understand the mental health of an entrepreneur, just take a peek inside their business. Ouch. At that moment at the picture window, I was horrified to see inside my business. We had been so successful at so many things, and we were really great really, at delivering brands and websites and client services. But I had realized that I didn't know how to run the business. I didn't know how to run a successful business. I didn't know how to be a CEO. And it was painfully clear. Low profitability, culture problems, chaotic process. And so I marched into 2020 with the intent to free fall into the dark. It was the only way I knew how to change a belief. I clutched my Buddhist books, held them tight, and the words of gurus and visionaries in the Buddhist tradition, Pema Chodron, Ram Dass, Thich Nhat Hanh, and more, who say the only way to find the light is through the dark. Pema Chodron, in her book, When Things Fall Apart, has an amazing line. She calls us warriors, those who agree to this path, those who free fall. Warriors. I did not feel like a warrior that day. I began my free fall by going off my antidepressants at the beginning of 2020 in preparation for a psychedelic journey later that year. Day by day, my world got darker. The ground fell further from beneath my feet every single step. It was excruciating. And all I had to go on is faith that what they said was true, that there would be light at the end of the tunnel. I arrived at my psychedelic journey with a very clear intention. I wanted to see, finally behold, the wise, beautiful, worthy Talie, the one who I hoped existed, but I wasn't sure. So I took the psychedelic medicines. I put on the dark mask to block out the light. I laid down and sunk into the depths. What did I think I was going to find there? A weak, shriveled soul? It's so simple now. Of course not. But I had to see for myself. The tale of that day is a story for another time, but what I will share is that that wise, capable, worthy Talie did come forward that day. And she did a remarkable thing. She healed my deepest wound, my most awful trauma, all in the span of 8 hours. Magical, truly. I wish I could tell you that just by seeing her that day is believing. And in some ways, that's true. But the work continued. I had to test and live this new awareness, this new person inside of me, to really become her. And that's what I did the following 6 months. I tried her out, and it was grueling, just as grueling as the previous 6 months. Day by day, minute by minute. 13 months after that day in my dining room, I arrived at a moment that was also truly profound. It was the moment that I fully stepped into my new belief. I get chills just thinking about it, because it was literally as if I had stepped out of the dark and into the light. things started to change dramatically in my life immediately. It was crazy. I became the CEO of my company, and I led us to here. I look inside my business now and I see success and prosperity. I feel joy and ease. Do we not have any problems? Of course not. Tons of problems. The difference is, I don't see those problems as signs of my failure lurking around the corner. I see them as opportunities. Sure, I still get afraid. Doesn't stop me. I know now that I can lead us through that problem together. I got to test this new belief once again 2 months ago. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, completely out of the blue, complete shock to my family and I. Within 3 weeks, I was on the operating table having my thyroid removed. It was as if they were removing my old voice to make room for my new one. If I had been diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago, I would have been a puddle on the ground, devastated, depressed. My friends and family will tell you that I met that moment with grace and optimism and gratitude. Gratitude. It was a dream come true for me to model that for my children and to just experience it. So I'm standing here today on the edge of this stage, sharing my personal story with all of you in my new voice. At this very moment, I'm leaping off my next cliff. I ask you, did I land? Thank you.